Happy Sunday, singles. So excited you could join us again today on the Apex channel. We're continuing on Sundays. We're continuing our series on biblical breakups. Today we're going to talk about why do you look to break up to begin with, and we're going to talk about some unsafe or some red flag behavior that you may want to watch for in your relationships. Very important that you look for certain things when you enter into or continue a relationship. That you're looking for things that you want to protect yourself. For no other reason. You don't want to waste your time. If somebody is not going to be the one for you, if they're still dealing with some things that haven't been resolved, you want to be able to move on to find that healthy relationship that God has for you. So number one. There's going to be 10 things today, but number one is a lack of communication. If a person won't talk to you, if they have a hard time talking about themselves, if they have a hard time expressing themselves, if there's a lack of communication that's frustrating in the relationship, that may be a red flag. Also, if the communication seems reversed, if you are in a situation that you would expect a outpouring of communication and they withdraw, or if you would expect them to be a little quiet and they're very quickly trying to explain something, it may be that they're having a really tough time communicating with you. So that's one thing to watch for. And none of these things that we're going to talk about today, none of them in and of themselves are a reason to break up. But when you can usually identify 2 or 3 of these, you really want to take a close look at that relationship. Number 2 is if they are irresponsible, immature, unpredictable, if they haven't really matured, in the way that you would expect someone of their age to do, that can be a red flag. If they've had trouble mastering some life skills, if they can't function financially, if they can't function socially, if they haven't matured to a certain point in some of the life skills, and you notice a lot of immature behavior, that's definitely a red flag. It may point to some other problems within. So it's definitely another thing that you want to take a look at. So if you see some irresponsible, immature behavior in the person that you're dating, be very careful. Number 3 is a lack of trust. Trust, if somebody continually doesn't trust, and they have no reason not to trust you, if they want to know constantly where you are, when you'll return, who you're with. Some of you are probably getting bad memories as I'm saying this, but when somebody is clingy, needy, and they are constantly needing to know, they almost need you fitted with a GPS chip. They need to know where you are all the time and what your activities are. That's kind of a red flag. They could have something unresolved in their past that they haven't dealt with. And that's going to be unhealthy in the relationship you're trying to build with them. 4, if you have built, and I've talked about this before, but if you have a dating circle, if you have friends that you trust for their opinion, that they don't have any, if they don't have any buy-in on the outcome, if their only concern is your well-being, if you surround yourself with those people meet the person that you're dating, and they go, well, I have some reservations. And, and that in and of itself, you need to take another look. Several times my friends I've been seeing somebody and introduced them into my small group, church friends, and my church friend said, something's just not right. I'm just telling you. And guess what? In every case that they said that, they were right. Sometimes in a relationship, we're too close to it. We're too emotionally sucked into it, and we're too close to the situation to stand back and look at it properly. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. I mean, when you are 16 years old, I mean, you just get wrapped up in the whole thing, and you just think everything's perfect, and this person is perfect, and you start overlooking, and then and so you get into some relationships and you start overlooking some things. Oh, they'll change, or they'll get better. If some people around you are saying you need to take another look, then you probably need to take another look. Controlling. If they are trying to control you, if they could try to control you emotionally, if they try to control you financially, if they try to control your time, if they kind of try to control your environments, you need to watch for that. Control is people can be very, very insecure, and they can seek to control you as a way to quiet the insecurity within themselves. And you could be opening yourself up to a lot of heartache if you have a person that has to control your every move. So singles, be careful. If you have someone that's controlling, looking to try to control you, you definitely want to give that a second thought. You definitely want to look a little deeper into that. Feeling insecure in the relationship, constantly needing validation, constantly needing qualification for where you are in the relationship, that they care for you. They constantly are seeking confirmation that you're, if they are constantly insecure in the relationship and constantly needing feedback, they could have some security issues inside themselves that they need to address, they need to work on. And not that you can't help them work on it, and point that out and help them work on it, but it could be that they're just not emotionally mature enough to be secure in themselves, and you want to be secure in yourself so you can be secure in someone else. So if you have somebody that constantly needs reassurance of the relationship, it's a red flag. You want to watch out for that. A dark or secretive past. If somebody has a block of their life that they just never address to you, if you notice you go through the relationship and there's a period of time they just don't talk about, you might want to ask more questions. We all have baggage in the past. There's no denying that. And as Christians, we want to forgive for past mistakes. We all have them. I've never dated anybody perfect. You've never dated anybody perfect. None of us have. None of us are perfect. So we all have something to forgive in one another, especially as singles and dating. There's something to forgive. But if you notice things, if there's a pattern of behavior, especially that has been in the past and you see it continuing in the future, there could be something in their past, some kind of addiction, some kind of problem emotionally, or it could be some kind of thing that they haven't identified what the problem is yet, some kind of something they're kind of burying from the past that hasn't been talked out. It can be a lot of different things, but if you notice some dark and secretive past that they won't talk about, and they won't be honest with you about where they've been, then those are things you want to watch out for. And especially if those problems are continuing, if it's things that they haven't dealt with, if it's things they haven't worked to resolve and make better, it's something that you want to sit down with them and talk about. Say, talk to me about this phase of your life. Talk to me about this thing that we seem to be avoiding talking about. You want to, as you move forward a relationship, you want to be open and honest. And it isn't always easy. Sometimes the truth really isn't fun. But it's better to be truthful with one another and deal with it. Deal with the truth whether it's good or bad, and at least they know and they can respond to it, and they can put it behind them as you've put it behind you. So watch out for somebody that has a dark or secretive past that they just want to address. Non-resolution of past relationships. This one is also something that's really, really hard to talk about. If somebody has a ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend that they still, we're just friends, or I text them once a week to see how they're doing, or songs come on the radio and they're like, I can't listen to that, it makes me think of so and so. I had one girl that I was dating, and lo and behold, I find out after several months that she had been texting her ex-boyfriend almost daily. We call that parachuting. If you cannot ride comfortably in the plane with the person you're with, you do not. You don't need to have a safety net, and you don't need to have a parachute in case that one doesn't work out. Have confidence in yourself that if this relationship doesn't work out, you can find another relationship. The Lord will lead you to another relationship. You don't have to keep a person on the side, an ex, or somebody that you have unresolved feelings with from the past. You don't have to have. You don't have to hang on to past relationships, or if you notice that is happening in the person you're trying to date, you may need to give them some time. They may need time to put that past relationship behind them and heal those wounds so they can move forward in a healthy relationship with you. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have past relationships, but we don't want those past relationships to linger into new relationships in a negative way. It's just going to hurt our current relationships as we try to move forward. Couples that have a relationship that is built on the need to be wanted or the need to be needed. They're in love with the idea of being in love. When they don't know specifically why they are in the relationship with you, they don't have any specifics of why they're dating you, they don't know, they're in love with the relationship, they're not in love with you. They're in love with the idea of a boyfriend, but they're not in love with you as the boyfriend. You want to watch out for those things. So many couples that I knew growing up, I watched my friends go through some of these. One or the other they were crazy about the idea of being in a great relationship, but it just wasn't with the person that they ended up in a relationship with or marrying in some cases. And too late they discover, I was crazy about the idea of being in a relationship, not crazy about being in a relationship with that person. And so you get wrapped up. I'm so excited to be in a relationship. You never question about who you're in the relationship with. So watch for people that, if you ask questions, what do you like about me? If they can't specifically tell you why they like you, ask more questions and be watchful. Guard your heart, because they may be at a point where they're just ready to be in a relationship, and they're just so crazy about the idea of being in a relationship that they forget to be crazy about you. And you all deserve that. You deserve to date somebody that's just crazy about you as a person and crazy about you as a Christian single. So make sure that person's passionate about you and not passionate about a relationship. And the last one, and this one should go without saying, singles, but we still run into this too often. We run into this. If you notice in the person you're dating any kind of abusive behavior, whether physical, mental, emotional, whatever, if they put you down and belittle you or any kind of abusive behavior toward you singles, that should be a monster red flag. And you should really, really, really step back and look at the whole pattern of the relationship. If you're seeing abusive behavior, you've got to protect yourself, and you've got to take a step back and make sure that you're not entering into a relationship that's going to turn into a marriage with abuse in it. You really want to watch for any of those behaviors. Sometimes you want to watch for it with that person and other people, because there's a tendency to say, oh, they would never treat me like that, even though they treat all those people like that. They would never treat me like that. And the hard truth is, no. Occasionally that isn't the case, but no, 99% of the time they are going to treat you the same way they treat other people, and it's just a matter of time until that's the case. I watched a girl that I was dating answer the phone with her ex-husband on the other line, and she proceeded to chew him out for the next 20 minutes. Her face changed, her demeanor changed, and I did not know who the person was in my passenger seat screaming at her ex. It was just so abusive and awful that when she hung up that phone, I was like, oh my goodness. And then she changed completely back to the other person that I had seen for the past month. And I said, wow, I wonder if I could be treated like that someday. I'm wondering if that's... So it made me watchful. It made me be more careful because I noticed the way she treated another person. And true to form, we didn't, that relationship didn't continue. So you want to watch for abusive behaviors toward the way they are towards you, but also potential abusive behaviors that you see them exhibit toward other people. Okay, singles, that's going to wrap us up for today. I love you all. It's always great to see you. If you haven't subscribed to our Apex YouTube channel, please do so. Get your friends to subscribe. We've got a lot of great things coming up in Apex. We've got great things coming out on our YouTube channel. You're going to see more and more videos as we go along. And as always, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon, and God bless. Thank you.